So Energy Speaks, the book, the subtitle is Messages from Spirit on Living, Loving and Awakening, because the chapters in the book are all taken from audio channels that I have created. So for groups or for audio recordings over the years on topics that really affect us all on a day-to-day level, that are metaphysical in nature. So abundance, receiving, relationships, expressing ourselves. And the first chapter of the book is actually me telling my story, how I went from being clearly a sensitive and intuitive kid but didn't really understand that about myself, to how I found that out and what that was like. And it was scary sometimes and weird other times. But once I heard the voice of my guides, it was really profound and changed my life. And so as I started doing this work for others over the years, there have been certain key concepts and key areas that are just so universal that the book felt like the perfect way to bring all of that together. So it's channeled messages and information, but it's also exercises that are clearly laid out in the book that you can try on for yourself, so that the book really helps you open more to your own spirit and your own soul and why you're here. So my guides, I refer to them as the Z's, because whenever they gave me names for different members of the collective, they all began with Z. But they also said to me that spirit guides don't really have names in the way that we have names as human beings, but they gave me names that I would understand. They have referred to themselves as a couple of different things. The one that I identify with the most is they say you can think of us as a consciousness library. They say we are 88 beings who extend wider into source energy. And over the years, as I've learned more about who they are, what they are, they say that some of them were incarnate on the planet, some weren't, but they also explain that energy is everything, and we can get very fixed in our idea of what's a human, what's a guide. And my big truth around channeling is I think it's really important for all of us to channel, but not necessarily it would be your guides that appear. For some people it would be tuning into wisdom of the universe, tuning into your higher self. And for me, all of those things are deeply connected. So over the years, even though I've understood that they're my guides, I also understand that because I've worked for other people using their energy, their words, that was part of the contract too. So yeah, they're my guides, they're always there. I can always talk to them if I want to, but it's bigger than me in that way. And I think that's one of the gifts of channeling. Channeling connects you to something that's bigger than your own human ego, bigger than your own human identity, and reminds you just how vast all of this is. So the first chapter of the book is called You Are a Lightworker, and I'm often asked how can somebody tell if they're a lightworker, and there are a few different signs. Like, I think lightworkers are everywhere. It's the nurse that helps you at the hospital when you're scared about your sick loved one. It's the person who gives you a reassuring smile in the grocery store that day. But light workers, as we tend to refer to them, are characterized by people who are really here to work to help raise consciousness. People who are here to bring more love, more awareness, more healing, and that they actively spend a good part of their time or their life devoted to that purpose. So many people who are light workers are healers or teachers or in the field of consciousness, but much of the time light workers are kind of not necessarily visible in that way. They are the people who are moving energy in a place or within an organization, and they do their work very silently because you don't really need to talk about being a light worker. I think that's one of the traps that sometimes people get caught in. It's an idea that I'm a light worker and it means this. And what I really love in the book is the Z's don't have much time for that kind of attitude. They basically talk about the role of a light worker being someone who is here to help bridge the planet from one level of consciousness and density to another. And really what they focus on is the challenge of that role and how that role can be tough, and how to balance that role for yourself so that you don't feel like you are being used against your will, or that you can't also have a happy, grounded life, because that's really important. And I see many light workers get stuck kind of out in another dimension and don't quite know how to bridge Earth and the dimension that they feel. And actually, to me, that's the job. And that's the work that we're here to do. And that's really what the chapter You Are a Light Worker really goes into in some detail, and talks about calling back pieces of your personal power so that you can really perform for others as well as for yourself and your own life and your mission. I most hope readers will take from Energy Speaks a love of life and a love of themselves. I think that was the breakthrough for me with my guides. It was really helping me move from a place of being scared of life and scared of myself into more bravery. And I know that when people have the courage to be themselves and live life and show up and push yourself a little bit to try something that you might be scared of, that your whole life changes and things that you didn't think were possible become possible. And even bigger than that, it's not even about the dreams you have. It's more, yeah, sure, you can fulfill your dreams, you can reach your aims, but then there's a whole world beyond that when you reach that place that you had no idea about. So I really hope that when people read Energy Speaks and go through the chapters and the exercises, they'll remember the power of their own soul, they'll remember the power of spirit, they'll know how to be a help or a kindness or a love to somebody, and how everybody's going through stuff and we all need to be that for each other at different moments. You never quite know when someone needs a hug, or just for you to even call them or offer to help them with something. Even just sometimes the offer can sustain somebody. So remembering how deeply we're all connected and how we need each other, because that really is another message in the book about, you know, become who you are. You never know who you are being for somebody else, and that vibrationally what you're doing today, even if you're just sat at home in your garden, you're having a vibrational effect on the whole planet. I think sometimes we have this idea that we have to do this enormous thing, and we don't see the small butterfly effect from all of our actions and our way of being. So I really hope that the book helps people open up to that and own that at a new level.